We got together now that we can be able to share some ideas. We've called this the Seder Night Secrets to Discovering Your Personal Freedom. As I've said in so many of the classes that I give over the years, we go back to basics and understand that Judaism doesn't see time as a timeline. We don't measure time as a line. We don't measure time as a circle. We measure time as a spiral. In fact, one of those like slinky toys you see kids play with the whole time, those slinkies, right? The ones that go round and round and round, like a coil. That's how we view time. This is from Dessa discusses this and others, that we see time as like a spiral. But what that means is that when you come to moments in time like Seder night, for example, it's not that we're just standing there or sitting there or reclining there, should I say, at a Seder night and just like commemorating something that happened many years ago. It's not about commemoration. It's not about something that haya, masha haya. It's actually about living in a moment, like almost immersing completely in a moment of time, which is freedom time. You know, it's very interesting. If you look in the Torah where it talks about Avram Avinu, it says that he was making matzot. It talks about Lot making matzot. If you look in Parshas Vayera, it says that Lot was making matzot. Hold on a second. Lot lived quite a few many years before Yetziat Mitzrayim, the exodus from Egypt. Why was Lot making matzahs? Rashi says there it was Pesach. Hello? How could it have been Pesach before the Jews left Egypt? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that Rashi before or asked himself the question before, because the reality is that what we call Pesach energy existed in the world from the first moment of creation. Pesach energy being the moment, that feeling of being able to break free, to be able to come out of any constraints. That energy existed from the first moment of creation. And that's why when we kind of step into Pesach, we're stepping into a moment of time, we're stepping into a vortex, so to speak, a moment in time which is energy of being able to break free. And this is what I want to kind of focus on, some of these ideas. You see, very interesting, I've put here, if you see the sheets that have gone around, the word Mitzrayim in itself, Mitzrayim, which is Egypt, is at its root, have the tzadi and the reish together is tsar. Tsar in Hebrew means narrow, constrained, being in a very kind of constrained place. And we every year are invited to leave our Mitzrayim. We're invited to leave our personal constraints. We're invited every year to leave behind all those mindsets that we've ingrained, which hold us back. Yeah, thanks, Ricky. There are some more around here. So these ones actually have staples. Woohoo! So if anyone wants anyone with staples, please take. Yeah, this is yours to kind of have and share around with it. So yeah, every year on Pesach we're invited to almost to examine the mindsets that we have that hold us back, and to break free. And by the way, and this is what I want to come to at the end of today's class, it's not just from the negative. It's not just negative in terms of all the things that are holding us back. We want to just leave behind, and all the slave type mentalities, but also from the other side, also in terms of our relationship with Hashem, the emunah that we're building on Pesach, we should also see that as being able to break through. Any constraints I have in my emunah, any way that I think of my relationship with Hashem, which is somehow constricted, that also bursts on Pesach, and I can attain a much higher level of connection with Hashem on Pesach than any other time of the year. So the Tsar, the Makom Tsar, everyone knows the famous song, right? Kol Olam Kulo, Geshet Tsar Me'od, Geshet Tsar Me'od, Geshet. Right? The whole wide world is a very narrow bridge. Ha'ikar lo lefachedcha. The most important thing is not to fear. So this Tsar, this place of narrowness, right, is what Mitzrayim represents. So again, one of the first things we have to do on Pesach is to really kind of just like internalize, what does it mean? Where is the Makom Tsar in my life? Where are those constraints in my life? Where are the places in my life where I feel that I'm held back? And these are things where I'm suggesting are things that we've kind of fabricated oftentimes in our own mind. Mindsets are such a big deal. This. What's the mindsets that I've internalized about me? That I've internalized about the people around me? That I've internalized about the society that I live in, or about life in general, that I have a certain way of looking at the world that really that really shapes the way I relate to everyone around me. It's an amazing thing. One of the big things we talk about on what Mitzrayim represents, and if you come from my other classes, I give a JLadies, I have this whole thing I do, soul fitness, which is the whole meditation side of things. One of the things we talk about a lot in soul fitness is the idea of the world we live in today is we are so distracted, we are so insanely distracted, that most of us don't have a moment just to breathe, just to be at home within ourselves. I've spoken many times about the science that's coming out nowadays, which is being produced. It's talking about our adult brains, the amount of distraction. If the minute you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do, most people check their phone. The first thing, bad idea. You should have some sort of practice if you can, not to check your phone first thing in the morning. Most of us do that. You check your phone, and the whole day, either it's the phone or it's the computer, or it's speaking to someone, it's the WhatsApping, it's the news, it's just a whole array. And the companies that sing down in their little offices in Shoreditch or in New York, wherever it is, and their jobs as they sit together, they're working out literally. There's a book that came out that's called Stolen Focus by a journalist called Johan Hari. I don't know if anyone's seen this book called Stolen Focus, but the book that came out just about this, about how these companies are getting together and they are working out the best way to steal your focus. They have great minds thinking, how is it possible to get you as away from your inner peace, from your place of just inner rest, and to be as addicted as possible to what they're providing. Like, for example, not to have a go at Netflix, right? There's lots of probably great things on there, but the executive of Netflix, they sit together, they try and work out how can they get you to consume as much as possible. There's like thousands of things to watch there. They want you to watch everything, so they do it in a way that makes you feel that, like, sometimes people will sit there, they'll tell me, and their whole night's gone, and they just binge watched entire series because they're very clever. They do it in a way that it's not just happenstance that everyone gets addicted to watching Netflix series. It's that they're thinking about it. How can they make you do that? That's the whole thing. As it finishes, the next thing in the corner, it gives you like 5 seconds or something to the next thing starts. So you're like, in kfar, as they say in Hebrew. If anyway I'm watching, I'll watch the next one, then the next one, then the next one. So it's like 3 a.m, and like, what happened? Why didn't I go to sleep? So they're literally trying to design how you can sleep less and consume more and be as addicted as possible to whatever technology they're providing. This is like, look at the book. It's got a lot of science involved there and how it works. So in our day and age, there's no question, we have beautiful practices like Shabbat, which give us every week an opportunity just to step back and just to stop being consumers. But the thing about it on Pesach, this is amazing. I brought here in this source. So this is from JLadies Sharim. JLadies Sharim is the Ramchal of Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. He's writing in the 1700s about this. And the Rav actually mentioned this before. When Moshe Rabbeinu came to Paro the first time round, right? Remember, he comes to Moshe the first time round, he says to him, let my people go, as we always say in the Seder, let my people go. And Paro says, no, I will not, right? I'm just getting ready for Seder now. No, it's the first time round, he says, no way, I'm not letting them go. So what happens next? Moshe comes back to Am Yisrael. This is the beginning of Parashat Ve'eretz, in the book of Exodus. And he comes back to the people, and people don't want to listen to him. Why? Because Pharaoh has seen that the Jewish people have had like some sort of awakening. There's been an awakening of their consciousness. Wow, you mean we can leave Egypt? You mean there's an end to this? You mean there's maybe a moment where we can actually get out of here? And they start thinking about this and talking about this. And Pharaoh notices that people are thinking and talking about Geulah. And so what does he do? He makes their work harder. Now, most of us grew up. When you read the story of Exodus, you read that Pharaoh made their work harder. Why? Because he's just this cruel, despotic ruler who's sadistic, and he wants to make their work harder. The Mesilat Yesharim tells us something far more profound, that it wasn't just about making their lives more difficult by making them physically do more labor. It was actually, if you can keep them busy, if you can keep them just completely glued to their work, then they just won't have time to think about leaving Egypt. If you haven't got time to think, then you won't leave. If you take a look inside here, this is the quote I brought for you from Mesilat Yesharim. It says here, in reality, this is one of the clever devices of the evil inclination. Like, evil inclination, the way I define it is, one of my rabbis, Rabbi David Aaron, has a beautiful way of describing the evil inclination as the anti-self. It's the part of you that, it's very much a part of you, and it's constantly trying to trip you up, to stop you from really becoming the true you. It's trying to stop you at every step from really developing. So the anti-self, the Yetzer Hara, has a wonderful weapon, one of the best things it can pull out from its quiver of different weapons. It is to mount pressure unrelentingly against the hearts of men and women, so as to leave them no leisure to consider and observe the type of life they're leading. If you're so darn busy, you're just always glued to these devices, then you're never going to think about a different life that I could have. Better relationships, deeper relationships, better marriages, better relationships with the people and friends around me. If I haven't got time to think about it because I'm just constantly consuming, fantastic, brilliant. Fiesta, as they'd say in Spanish, I'm guessing, right? How amazing. The Yetzer Hara has won the game because you're so busy. It is this consideration which, under the counsel of Pharaoh, in his statement, intensify the men's labors. His intention was not merely to deprive them of all leisure. It wasn't just like, I want you to be like, it was, he thought about it. If I have you busy the whole time, if you're constantly glued to your devices, if you're constantly glued to the telly, if you're constantly just at work, on the underground, out of the underground, into work drinks, out of work drinks, going on that day, going back here, your whole head, it's great, then you're never going to imagine a different life. You're never going to imagine a life of deeper connection with Hashem. And the Yetzer Hara is loving it. So what does Pesach represent? As I say, we're walking into a moment of time called energy of freedom. So Pesach's that time to think about that. What's the Pharaoh of my life? Where are the Pharaohs of my life? What's the Mitzrayim of my life? Where am I holding myself back? Do I have practices in my life where I'm able to turn my phone off? Where I go onto airplane mode, or I give myself moments just to breathe, or to be, or to read, or to have conversations, or go out with friends where I don't have my phone on, and my phone's away in a bag and I'm not touching it. Are the moments in my life where I'm just able to just be me, just to be me, not having to show up in a different way. And this is the first step. This is the first sort of secret. Just that's not really a Seder night thing. That's just a Pesach thing. Like just how wonderful it is that every year we come back to like ground zero again. We start to build up once more. And this is again, we spoke about this in some of the other classes I've given. Going into the next thing is the idea of the chametz. What chametz represents. Chametz, Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, which is the quote I brought here, talks about how chametz represents, it's the puffed up ego, it's the puffed up pride, it's the things that don't belong. Think about it for a second. What's the difference between chametz and matzah? It's flour and water. It's flour and water, same ingredients. It's just with one of them you've had more time. The sugars start to interact. You start to get carbon dioxide, and you start to bubble up and build up to this big brioche, or I don't know, what's that nice Italian focaccia? Focaccia is great. Focaccia, or you've got the other one, the calzone. Whatever, you got all this amazing, big, puffed up, lovely pieces. Or you got matzah, which is just flat bread, flour and water, vizel, ein od, nothing else. So this is Rabbi Nachman. It says something very interesting here. And this is the first thing. When it comes to eating the matzah on Seder night, here's a beautiful secret, something for us to ponder. When it comes to that point of matzah, I mean, you mentioned about how some people don't like it, don't enjoy it. Okay, so find the minimum shiur, whatever you have to have. But when you're eating it, what's brilliant, this beautiful mindset to have is, you say, I'm eating the bread of humility. It's about not having ego. It's about kicking ego away. Let's take a look at what Rabbi Nachman says here. This is on the first page of the book. It says, checking and destroying chametz. Matzah symbolizes the fundamental existence of man, the inner dimension which searches for good and to do good. It's that pure part of you. The part that is free from foreign substances and from adulteration. Adulteration meaning the things that don't belong. It's the part of you that is free from societal pressures and influences, free from the need to fit in and be like everyone else. That is what the matzah represents. It's just you, plain and simple. Without it's like, what do you call it? The no makeup day thing, where everyone's like a selfie in the day without makeup. There's a thing, what do they call it?
No makeup.
No makeup day. Is that what they call it? Everyone has to take a photo of themselves without makeup. Like no Photoshop day, whatever they call it. Right? Whatever it is, or no filter. The idea is like, it's you, no filter, no makeup, everything. It's just a photo, right? Of who am I in reality? Whereas chametz is the other side, represents all those habits, needs, and superficial wants that a person finds themselves partaking of because of societal pressures and an inability to truly consider that which is important. What's really important in my life? Chametz is the need to appear successful, to appear loved, to appear important. Needs which force life away from simplicity and sweetness. The sweetness of life comes from a place of just being authentic, of being true to yourself. Not that I have to fit in and be like these people, not I have to fit in and look like these people. I just want to be me. I want to be authentically me. And chametz is all those pressures that come from the outside that are forcing me to have to be something I don't really want to be, that I don't feel comfortable being. These needs weaken us, says Rabbi Nachman. These needs weaken us and dry out our souls. What a beautiful expression. Translating obviously from the Hebrew. They dry out the soul because you're just so exhausted having to always just be something that you don't think is you. Pesach is the beginning of a new chapter in our inner life. It's the point when we turn from darkness to light, exile to freedom. For that reason, we take out our chametz. All the imposters, all the things that don't belong, we take it out. We symbolically burn it. I was asked last week to do a little video for some teens. It's really cute. There's a WhatsApp group there's a whole bunch of people in the high schools, and they ask questions, Q&A, and they asked me what's the significance of bidikat chametz, of checking the chametz. So I made a little video which I'm happy to share, but I talked about this idea that you take the candle or torch, whatever it is, Don't take a candle and put it next to you because that could be quite flammable and dangerous. Don't suggest it. But the idea is that you symbolically take a candle close to you and you look inside and you say, okay, what doesn't belong? What doesn't really belong here? What's not really me? Where am I like faking it? And I'm just not happy about it. It's drying out my soul. And you look inside and you symbolically take it and you take it out and you burn it. And we spoke a lot last week, another class, about the idea of the idea of ego, the idea of the things that don't belong, and really just kind of taking it on that thing and burning it, getting rid of it completely. Now, this is interesting. Watch this. For that reason, at this time, we need to take out chametz, all those imposters, and be left with our true, pure selves. Get ready for this. In reality, this can be quite painful. Why? Because I look in the mirror and I want to see a big focaccia. And instead now, because of this, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm seeing just flat, just matzah. That's what I'm seeing. And it can be quite painful for us. We might now be looking at a thin, simple cracker of matzah. And you say, well, that's who I am, really? However, we have to know that small, simple feeling of being an unpuffed cracker, like a matzah, is the key to true freedom. The only way a person can be helped truly to live their life is you have to be prepared, you have to be strong enough to go back to that place of like, who am I really? Who really am I? Taking away everything else out, mi ani, who really am I? And then you build up from there. Again, what we said was that it's amazing because when you get to Shavuot, which is the 7 weeks afterwards, you bring chametz to the Beit HaMikdash, you bring bread, you come back to eating bread. It's okay, you can relate to chametz, you can relate to bread, which is ego. But the idea is you have to every year, once a year, just do an absolute like cold turkey, like cut out all the ego, cut out all the imposters, cut out all that doesn't belong, to come back to your true self, and then slowly from Pesach onwards, you start building up again. But you've done like a beautiful, it's like a detox, a cleanse of ego that happens every single year. How beautiful is that? We're so lucky to be Jewish that we have this in our practice every single year. We're invited to do a detox of any ego. And then when you eat the matzah, that's what you should be thinking. As I eat the matzah, I'm thinking detox of ego, just no ego here. Don't want ego, I just want to be true to myself, I want to be authentic, I want to be real. And I understand, by the way, which I'll come to at the end of this class, that what's really powering my life? Where do I get all my source of like energy and enthusiasm? Where do I get all my ability to think, to breathe, to do anything? It's not from me. It's not from me. I might think it's from me. I might think I'm all that, but it's not from me. It's from Hashem. And it's the whole process of Seder night, by the way, which we come to at the end. Because Seder night, as we know, is the night of Emunah. If you were to ask me, what's the most important thing of Seder night? The most important thing more than anything else? Yes, of course, the 4 cups of matzah, of course. The most important thing is that feeling you finish, when you finish the Haggadah, and the feeling of pure emunah, strong belief and faith in Hashem. That is the most important thing of all of Seder night that we want to leave with. That feeling of being held by Hashem, of being connected to Hashem, being entwined with Hashem. There's no other feeling like it, and that's what we want to feel like when we finish. But if we're so full of ourselves, if it's just me, then there's no room for Hashem. There's no room. So we have to that's the whole idea of getting rid of the chametz on Seder night. There's the next thing to ponder, to think about, is the idea of, so I put it points to ponder, you can take it with you. What's the chametz of my life? Is there any one element of emetz that I'd like to take out and make disappear this year? How can I do that? Something to think about before Seder night and on Seder night, as you eat the matzah, to think this through. Okay, take a breath. Next one, number 2. Pesach Seder. How interesting that we call it a Seder, right? Seder means order, to have order, which is quite interesting as Jews. Like, people say, like, I heard Rabbi Mordechai Becher, is a great rabbi, he said that someone came to him once and he tried to teach about Judaism, and he goes, Rabbi, I'm not interested in organized religion. He said, well, that's great, because this is the most disorganized religion in the world. Come and join Judaism. Okay, fine. So Seder is something so important. Seder means order, a set plan or schedule. How incredible is it when you think about the Seder night? It goes step by step. There are 15 steps. We're going on a journey, one after the other. There's a whole menu here that you have to get through. It's not just like you can't skip steps. It has to be 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. All the 15 steps have to be done together. The authors of the Haggadah were hinting to us that if we want to be truly free, we need to learn how to make Seder. We have to make Seder in our lives. We have to make an element of just putting everything in order, making sure that everything's not just a random bunch of ideas and concepts and practices, but everything has a place. This means how to stop the hamster wheel. The incessant flood of things that need to be done. Remember what is truly important in our lives and put them back in order. We prioritize, when you think about it, so much of our lives, we're prioritizing things that in this general scheme just aren't that important. They're really not that important. Okay, listen, we need to make money, we need to be able to survive and pay our rent, especially in London right now. It's not simple to be able to just be able to pay your rent and to buy your food, and it's not a simple thing, but people just tend to just prioritize things that just aren't important in life. And we're on this hamster wheel constantly. And that's why it's really good on Seder night just to kind of ask, what are my practices? What are things I'm doing in my life to really kind of infuse my life with deeper and more meaningful experiences, deeper spirituality? Again, it's all about relationship. It's all about the relationship with Hashem, with each other, and most important is with Hashem, but really importantly is the relationship we have with ourselves. The next idea I want to share with you, I'm going to have to borrow because I didn't have this one, is this one here. It's the one, where is it? This one, sorry. Okay, can I borrow this? Do you mind? You can share it, or just 1 second. Okay. The hidden meaning of the karpas. This one's really cool. I love this. Again, I hope this is interesting for people. This is like just taking some ideas of the Seder, just kind of double clicking, as I like to call it, double clicking on it, and see what comes out. Okay. Sorry, I'll give you another one. Is there a spare one here? No, yeah, thanks. I stole from you and I now return from you. Look at that. Okay. Next one is karpas. Really interesting. This is, again, Rabbi Nachman of Breslev teaching us something so powerful. What is karpas? However, what is karpas? What is it? What is the karpas? Anyone know what karpas is? Okay, some sort of vegetable that we eat. Okay, it's not necessarily bitter herb, but it's some vegetable that we have. It comes at the beginning of the Seder. So the Seder you have kadesh, you do the kiddush, urchatz, where everyone washes, some just the leader of the Seder washes, and then karpas. Very strange. Some people would have different things. Some will use radishes, some people potatoes. Sfardis what we got? Celery. Okay, the most outrageous one that I do, if you come to my Seder, is banana.
What? Do you not like?
Actually, no, we had to stop. I don't know. Someone hates bananas. We had to stop. We used to have banana dipped in salt water. Why? Because the only thing is it has to be Borei Pri Adama. That's most of the things Borei Pri Adama. And since banana is Borei Pri Adama, we did it mainly because what does it do? Everyone then goes, "Why are we doing this?" And that's what Sick Night's all about. It's about the question is, why are we doing this? So when you have like a bit of banana in salt, like, why are we doing this again? Beautiful question. Love questions. Say it night. Okay, we can build it up now. So it's become like a bit of a shtick. People know the counts. They might get some banana on a stick. Okay. But the point is, what's this whole thing about karpas? Why do you have karpas? So they say it's like the appetizer. I don't know. I mean, it's not really so relevant. Most of us don't like dip parsley or potato in salt water as appetizers. I normally have like tapas, like, a little bit of olive tapenada with costil and some very nice, I don't know, many other tapas. I'm sorry, I didn't grow up with tapas. So I don't really know much about it. Okay, so watch this. This is Rabbi Nachman talking about karpas. This is so beautiful. I need to share it with you because it's just so profound. And it's so relevant to our lives as well. That's why I love it. It's so insanely relevant. So listen up. Normally, I'm reading inside, it's number 3. Normally, after washing our hands, like you come to the house, to someone's house, you sing Shalom Aleichem, Eishes Chayil, you say make Kiddush on a Friday night, and then what happens next? You go in and you wash your hands, okay, and you do the thing, and you wash your hands, and you go in, there's the whole uncomfortable, everyone's like, can't talk, In my family, everyone's fighting where they're sitting, And it's like, just talk already, it's just, you've like lost the point, because anyway, Hesach Hadat, but everyone's, Okay, so then you make the challah, and you have challah, boom! Next thing is the chicken soup, and next thing is the this, and you have a nice big fat meal. So this is what Rabbi Nachman says. Normally after washing hands to eat, we're prepared to get stuck in to a big and satiating meal. This time, however, after washing our hands, we get ready to eat a small piece of vegetable dipped in salt water. So here we go. This is big stuff. Bear with me, because this is big. We are all driven to achieve, to see the fruits of our labors. We set targets and look to attain them. We judge ourselves by our ability to reach the targets that we set for ourselves. Nachon or not? Kind of true, right? You set a target and I try and attain it, and if I fail, then I feel like a bit of a failure, right? I feel like I messed up. If I get there, then everything's amazing. However, at certain times, For a person to value themselves in this way would be a big mistake, because there are times when the results just don't come in. When this happens, it's important to know how to suspend these aims and objectives, which will currently lead to us to despair and negativity, and instead be open to the idea that there are many small, seemingly insignificant things that we are doing successfully. However, how many people do we know? Maybe people in the room that you feel the same way, but we all know people like this, that they set their sights on these big goals, and they're so focused on these big goals that if they don't get them, they're going to be so disappointed and self-upset. And then life is over because I didn't get that job, or I didn't get to do this holiday. But the reality is there's so many other wonderful things happening in their life they just don't see. You didn't notice, actually, you're being really successful in so many other ways. You're doing so many other things right, perfectly well, but you're so fixated on this, and only when I get this will I be happy, that we miss out on all the actual successes and things that we've attained in our lives. This is truly a great skill to hone as we go through life's journey, says Rabbi Nachman. It's the skill of knowing how and when to recalibrate the levels by which we measure success. It's the skill to know that sometimes in life, we're all ready for a big seudah, like sometimes you're ready to a big fat meal, and you're going to just get a piece of potato or a little piece of celery. That's what you're actually going to get. And yet we learn to be happy just with that piece of celery. And that's a huge thing. You want to have a big chicken meal with all the potatoes and all, and you get a piece of celery, and you can just be happy with that celery. This is already a whole new level of just inner simcha. Someone who's rich truly, someone's happy with their lot. And we've got to remember that in life. It's a beautiful message for the karpas. Wash your hands, sit down, piece of celery. What? Celery? What? Come on, what? No, you know what? It's a piece of celery. And in life it will always happen. There are going to be times when we really want to achieve, and this is what we get. We get the piece of celery. So this is my points to ponder. You might not win a Nobel Prize for it, and you certainly won't be getting a raise for it. But is there something small in your life, even though seemingly small and insignificant, that you know you can take pride in? And if that's the case, take a moment to feel that joy. Be happy. And that's another thing I want to just add here, that this one of the things that we just don't mention too much about, is that one of the big things of Seder night is simcha, just to be happy. You know, come on, I don't know about you guys, but most people I know growing up, Seder night was about after 2 minutes, someone would spill the wine, it'd be everywhere, someone would be shouting at someone, and they don't want to sit next to them. There's some family member that's have sex to them, then there's a bit of a fight, a bit of a hoo-ha, someone spills something, then everything's going, then something falls down, and everyone's shouting at each other, and it's like a whole. But when you have this whole new appreciation of Seder night, just be besimcha. Whatever happens, besimcha. I'm just going to smile. If the wine goes all over the tablecloth, Baruch Hashem, just going to be happy tonight. Because the real joy, right? That's how the whole experience of Seder night is soaked in this idea, the simcha that we have of leaving Mitzrayim. I want to finish with one short idea. I put down here big picture thinking of the night of Emunah. This is just one other thing. Again, if you were to ask me straight out blank, what is Seder night all about? What's the whole purpose of it? Ultimately, it's just about Emunah. It's a night of Emunah. It's a night of just focusing on the fact, as you leave the Seder night, you finish it, that the Rebbeinu Shalom is in charge. And I think this year more than ever, maybe, it's something for us to really focus on. We're in a time right now where, if you look at it and you think about it, we're being squeezed from every direction by Kodesh Baruch Hu to recognize it's only Hashem that can help us out. We thought it was America, we thought it was Rishi, we thought it was the United Nations. Well, no one really thought that, okay, but we thought it was all these different things around us. They're the ones that are going to save us and help us. And the ultimate reality is that only Hashem. And this is a night where we can turn up and go through the whole story and realize that sometimes things look bad, sometimes things look terrible, and we just don't understand why it's happened that way. We don't get it. We don't have an understanding of why, but we're so infused in our emunah that it's almost all those questions dissipate, they dissolve. So I'll leave with you with this a very famous question. It's asked by a few Rabbanim. I'll leave it with you in this, and we'll finish with that. This is, again, one of the most profound teachings that I've learned in the past 15 years. Changed my life, and hopefully will change yours. Maybe not, I don't know, we'll see. So come to the end of the Haggadah, you get Chad Gadya. Chad Gadya is a story about a goat, this innocent goat, poor innocent goat. Okay? The goat is just hanging out, doing its thing, and a cat comes and bites the goat. And the whole rest of the story, the song, which we all act out, animal noises, whatever you want to call it, is the story of all the whole domino effect of what happens once this goat gets bitten originally. So the Chasam Sofer and there's the Rogachov as well, a few people asked this question, and they said the following: the goat is hanging out, chilling, eating some grass. Is the goat doing anything wrong? No. Along comes the cat and bites the goat. Cat bad? Yeah, the cat's bad. The cat's not something it was not called for, it was wrong. So the cat bad, goat good. Now, don't do this after 4 cups of wine, but you can try. Along comes the dog and bites the cat. Dog good, because he's punished the naughty cat. But then when the stick comes, the stick is bad for hitting the dog, because the dog was good. Which means the fire was bad, which means the water is good. Which means the ox is bad, which means the shochet is good. You have to kind of write it down, it's really hard, like you have to keep up. There's all these different things that are happening, right? So there is a cat, then there's a goat, then the cat attacks the goat, then the dog attacks the cat, then the stick attacks the dog, right? Then the fire attacks the stick, then the water attacks the fire, then the ox comes and licks up the water, then a shochet comes and kills the ox, and then the malach hamavet, the angel of death, comes and kills the shochet. Okay, do the cheshbon and write it down yourself, okay? When you do the whole thing, you come out to the end, you see that the malach hamavet, the angel of death, by killing the shochet, by killing the ritual slaughter, was good. It didn't do anything wrong, because in the whole chain of events, the malach hamavet's job was actually good. It was meant to kill, and you follow it through. Which means you finish the whole Seder with 1 point. You finish the whole thing, you come to the whole thing, and along comes God and kills the Malach HaMavet. Which means that Licha'ora, God is bad, because God did something wrong here. Because the Malach HaMavet did nothing wrong. So you finish the Seder and God did something which looks like it was wrong. And then you know what we do is our custom, we then say, Shir HaShirim Asher Lishlomo, we start singing a song of love song between Hashem and us. This moment where you finish the Seder, you know what? I look around the world and I see there's good and there's bad, there's things that happen, I don't understand it. But you know what? When it comes to Seder night, I don't have the questions anymore. This time, it looks like something bad's happening. I close up the Haggadah and I say, Shir Hashem, I'm in love with Hashem. And I see Hashem everywhere. Echad mi yodeh, shnai mi yodeh, 1, 2, 3. Everywhere I look, it's just Hashem. Everywhere I'm looking, everything I'm seeing, everything I'm experiencing, it's just Hashem. And you finish the Seder night with this power of love and this connection that even all the questions, all the kushiyot that I have, all the problems that I share, I'm able to close my Haggadah and say, you know what, I just love you, Hashem. I know you're holding me. I know you've got us. You've got us. You're with us, and I move on with my life. And you get that level of emunah and Pesach, and you bottle that, and you take it with you the whole year round. Hashem should bless every single one of us to be able to utilize this beautiful gift of Seder night, to be able to attain that, to tap into it. And Hashem should bless every single one, especially everyone in Eretz Yisrael. There should be a Leila Seder, which should really be a Laila Kiyom Ya'ir, like a night will really be light like day. So we'll all be able to attest and point and understand and see the reality of Hashem in our lives. Thank you. Thank you for listening.